Welcome to Certain Point of View's Trade School, where each episode a different host talks about a comic book trade paperback that they loved and why they love it.
Hello, I'm Keith Lehtinen, host of Certain POV comic book review show We Have Issues. For my next choice on Trade School, I wanted to get away from my usual of picking a Marvel book and talk about something that I really love. I wasn't sure because I wanted to hold off on this until October because it's a perfect spooky month one, but I kind of lost patience and I am ready to talk about it. So let's go ahead and talk about my favorite horror story of all time, regardless of medium. I'm talking film, book, comic, anything. This is the scariest story and my favorite story, to the point that it really impacted me greatly. This is a comic called The Autumnal from Vault Comics. Creative team is written by Daniel Kraus, art by Chris Sheehan, color by Jason Wordie, and letter by the amazing Jim Campbell. I find it difficult to talk about this book because I did review it as it came out. And as I've said in the past, and I kind of hinted at it here, I don't like horror stories. I've never have. It's never been a thing that I really enjoy. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like things that intentionally scare you. I don't get that thrill that a lot of people get. I just get scared. But The Autumnal, I don't know why, I think my main draw to this story is just these amazing characters. Just these characters that really pop off the page and really grow on you. And let's talk a bit about the plot, and then I'll get into that more. This is a small town horror story. And in this case, the name of the town is Comfort Notch, New Hampshire. It's this perfect, ideal little town where everybody knows each other and they have this, annual tradition that everybody loves, and they make so much money off tourism and all this such, and off the local lumber and the forest and such. And it's just this really well told little town. And our protagonist is Kat Somerville, who I will just say, if you pay attention at all to comics that I love, is the kind of protagonist that I love. She is awesome. She's a really badass independent chick. She's got some damage. She loves her kid, and she's coming back to this town that she does not want to come back to, but kind of has to. And the horror element of this is so good because it has the thing that I really like in horror when I do like horror, which is creeping dread. I don't like jump scares as much. I like the slow build. I like the burn. And I like the inevitable idea that this isn't going to be okay. Like, in the end, we're not going to defeat Leatherface and run away. That's not how this works. And God, I can't tell you the emotional roller coaster I went through with this book. Reading it and just having to wait issue to issue was brutal. I distinctly remember that. It was early on the show's lifespan. And God, I loved it so much. There are other great characters in this, including a love interest character who I adored. It was just such a cool character. And of course, Kat's daughter, Sybil, which is just a continuing tradition of young female characters that I just immediately love. For instance, the little girl in Persona 4, for instance. As soon as she started speaking, it's like, I will protect this child with my life. I had a very similar thing with Sybil, and their relationship is really interesting. The way they bounce off each other is really interesting. And I think one thing I want to make sure I get across, because I'm trying so hard not to spoil anything here. But the one thing I want to get across to really sell this book to you is that it's really, how do I put this? The way they tell the story and the resolution of the story is incredibly brave, to the point that it really impacted me emotionally. Like, I distinctly remember being kind of devastated. This is basically the best era of Vault, in my opinion. The golden era of Vault that me and Josue still talk about to this day, about being the best comics being made, period. And this is probably the best comic of that era. And the sheer courage of telling the story in the way that they do. Oh man, it's so hard not to spoil when I say this. So just making the choice they do at the end to leave you with the emotion they leave you with is devastating and interesting and thought-provoking and depressing, and it's just, God, I love it. I haven't talked enough about the art. For those who don't know, Chris Sheehan is one of the best artists in comics. I don't really need to tell you that. You should probably already know that. But this was the book that put Chris Sheehan on my map. I have a friend who's an art student, and she had to design a monster. And she had to design some horror stuff for her class. And she's like, hey, you really like comics? What's an artist that I can look into that does this? And the first thing out of my mouth was Chris Sheehan. And I was like, this is the person that made me feel the most. I gave him a couple other names, of course, as well. But that's the first one that popped in my head because I was like, oh, you need to be scared? The Autumnal. Like, that is just the way it is. So I love this book. I love this era of Vault. I think one of my biggest blessings of being a comic book reviewer is being a reviewer during this era of Vault, because I learned about so many amazing stories. And yeah, I love it. So make sure to check it out. The Autumnal. It's from Vault. It's really easy to get. You can get the complete series for only $20 from Vault's website, and it's 100% totally worth it. So make sure to check that out. I think you will really enjoy it. That said, make sure to find me on with my show We Have Issues on Blue Sky. It's at wehaveissues.bsky.social. Instagram is We Have Issues Pod. Make sure to check out Certain POV in the Discord. And reach out to Case about doing your own episode of this. And that said, thank you so much for listening, and happy reading. All right, Josue, let's go through our new Comic Day stack. We have a lot to review.
I know. Maybe we've gone too far.
Well, let's see. Marvel, of course. DC.
I got Image, Dark Horse,
Black Mask, Boom, IDW.
Aftershock, Vault, of course, Mad Cave,
Oni, Valiant, Scout.
Magma, Behemoth.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, all we need now is a name for our show. We need a name for our show about reviewing comic books every week. Something clever, but not too clever.
Like a pun? It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's something that seems funny at first, but we might regret later on as an impulsive decision a few dozen episodes in.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
Join Keith and Josue for We Have Issues, a weekly show reviewing almost every new comic released each week. Available on Geek Elite Media and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.